DNA testing. Have you ever wondered where you come from, who your ancestors were, or what they have passed on to you? Well, if you have, then you might want to take a DNA screening, also known as a genetic test. But wait, what is a genetic test? A DNA screening or a genetic test is a medical test that identifies changes in our genes, proteins, and chromosomes. Genetic tests can confirm if someone has a genetic condition. They also can help determine someone's chance of developing or passing on a genetic disorder. Currently, there are over 1,000 genetic tests that are in use, and many more that are being developed. There are also many methods to test. A couple of examples are molecular genetic tests or gene tests, chromosomal genetic tests, and biochemical genetic tests. Genetic testing has benefits as well as risks, and is voluntary. The decision to test is complex and personal. Geneticists or genetic counselors may help provide information about the pros and cons of taking a test, and they can discuss the social and emotional aspects of testing. Now that you've got a little knowledge on genetic testing, would you get a test? Before you jump right into it, is it really all that great? It's understandable that many people are curious, as genetic tests were created to find genetic conditions, and they also reveal ethnicity. But genetic tests aren't actually all too beneficial for us. Yes, you can discover if you are at a higher risk of developing a genetic condition, but at what cost? After all, test results may not be available for months or years, and sometimes they're not available at all, as sometimes information is limited. Well, DNA screening can be quite expensive, but is also mentally tolling. Genetic tests can cause a lot of emotional stress for people, which is quite the opposite of the peace of mind they probably wanted when they first decided to take the test. Also, genetic tests can cause emotional tension within families, and genetic discrimination may occur. The problem with the genetic test is that you don't go to the doctors. You mainly communicate with a genetic counselor over email or phone. The issue with this is that people can quite easily misinterpret information. This leads to overestimation in the roles genetics play in diseases. The amount that genetics provide to a trait varies, but a minimal amount of traits or diseases are strictly controlled by genes. Most traits are also affected by lifestyle choices and environmental factors. Struggle in understanding a disease risk. Participants must rely on emails and information provided on a website to understand their disease risk versus the average population risk. The disease risks presented by DTC companies do not include a time frame. However, certain disease risks factor may remain low until later in life and can go up incrementally with age. Confusion over the methodology because not all tests are created equally. Another issue is discovering something you'd rather not know. Tests can determine which pregnancies have a higher risk of birth defects or chromosomal conditions in babies. That sounds good, but what if you discover your child is at risk of a birth defect, one that you can't change? Having such knowledge can cause more harm than good, as results could lead to stress, which could deteriorate both you and your child's health. With tests causing stress, tensions with family, and being costly, is it really a good idea? After all, it's been said, what you don't know can't hurt you.
Created using Powtoon.